there must be an out thing there that is conceivably shepherding the circles into a specific bearing. There may in reality be the 10th planet in our planetary group. There is a 10th planet in our planetary group, and it's not Pluto. NASA has made a noteworthy disclosure in the huge scope of our nearby planet group. A 10th planet hiding past the recognizable circles of Neptune and Pluto has been uncovered. Anyway, there is a vile perspective to this cosmic disclosure, a conundrum that has left specialists astounded and the public interested. Something odd is occurring on Planet 9, in peculiarity dissimilar to anything seen before in our enormous area. Might it at any point be proof of outsider obstruction, an infinite crash, or something totally different that we don't figure out? Join us as we explore how NASA found a 10th planet in our planetary group, but something abnormal is occurring. Our planet, Earth, is part of a planetary group that comprises 8 planets circling a gigantic blasting star we call the Sun. For millennia, space experts concentrating on the nearby planet group have taken note that these planets walk across the sky in an anticipated manner. Some are moving forward at a quicker rate than others, and some even have all the earmarks of being moving in reverse, as per their observations. Anyway, we're losing sight of what's most important. We should return to how this planetary group began. The sunlight-based cloud, a colossal haze of gas and dust, began to take structure around 4.6 billion years ago, leading to the early nearby planet group framework. An outside force, maybe a close-by cosmic explosion, caused the cloud to fall under the draw of gravity and begin turning. Subsequently, of the rule of preservation of precise energy, a protostar progressively arose at the center of the pivoting cloud, which in the end became more sizzling and denser. The course of accumulation caused small residue grains to impact and bunch into greater things known as planetesimals. While the encompassing material began to tie together, protoplanets were framed, which in the long run increased in mass and size as they kept on engrossing to an ever-increasing extent of stuff. The Sun similarly expanded in size and brilliance during this period, later outperforming the joined mass of the planets, space rocks, and comets. It arose as the planetary group's most robust object. Denser material sank to the protoplanet's centers, and lighter ones rose to their surfaces as their innards developed hotter and more separated. As they kept on gathering material, the planets with rough surfaces formed as a consequence of this cycle. To a limited extent, the Sun's strong beams and solar wind blew away the remainder of the gas and residue out in space, where temperatures were lower. Gas and ice could remain vaporous, prompting the production of gas Goliaths, such as Saturn and Jupiter. Beyond that, the cold planets Neptune and Uranus got their environments in cold shelf. Despite the fact that each planet in our nearby planet group is extraordinary in its own specific manner, there are some similarities among them. For instance, each planet has a north and a south pole. These focuses are in the focal point of the planet at its finishes. Another element that distinguishes our planetary group from the outer nearby planet group is the major space rock belt, which reaches out from Jupiter to Mars. Despite the fact that when the vast majority consider our planetary group, they picture the Sun, planets, and Earth, there are various kinds of bodies that form a ring around the Sun: comets, meteors, space rocks, moons, and some moons have moons of their own. Space dust, and the extremely controversial dwarf planets, are among these other wonderful bodies. Back in 2005, researchers found a distant object of rock and ice that they later called Eris. The fact that it was further from the Sun and greater than Pluto raised philosophical worries about the meaning of a planet. Was Eris the 10th planet in our nearby planet group? If not, for what reason might Pluto at some point be a planet, but Eris couldn't? In 2006, the International Astronomical Union, IAU, discovered that an object should meet the following rules to qualify as a planet. It has to circle the Sun straightforwardly. That means Earth's moon doesn't count since it circles our planet, not the Sun. It needs to be adequately huge to be round in shape because of its own gravity, and it should have cleared its neighborhood, meaning that it's the predominant object in its orbit. For the last rule, we can thank the downgrade of Pluto from the 10th planet to dwarf planet status, joining Eris, Makemake, Haumea, and Orcus. Since Pluto was removed from the club, there has been some sign that there may be one more planet in the nearby planet group, bringing the complete number of known planets to 9 again, a theoretical planet 9, prowling on the external edge of our solar system. Up to this point, this world has evaded disclosure, yet another review is stuck down where it ought to be. Planet Nine's gravitational draw on different bodies gives proof of its presence. It is genuinely it's to accept the planet's gravitational force will change the orbits of other divine bodies. Doing some basic number-related calculations will reveal the source of any obvious gravitational draw on a planet. The discovery of Neptune came about after two stargazers, John Couch Adams and Urbain Le Verrier, independently noted that an imperceptible planet appeared to be pulling on Uranus. With regard to Planet 9, our gravitational draw has no bearing on it. We really do notice an impossible-to-miss gathering of small icy objects called Kuiper Belt objects, KBOs, situated in the nearby planet group's external areas. If the Kuiper Belt was empty of planets, the KBO's orbits would seem, by all accounts, to be randomly situated within the planetary group's orbital plane. The inverse is valid, however, countless KBO orbits tend to group together. It's conceivable that this is only because of random chance, but that isn't reasonable. In 2016, researchers discovered that an undetected external planet was the source of the grouping by taking a gander at the measurable appropriation of KBOs. Their evaluations put its mass at 5 Earths and its distance from the Sun at multiple times that of Neptune. A wide region of the sky that could contain the planet was even assessed in the article, but no results were found in the searches. Some came to the conclusion that there is no such thing as Planet 9 because of these bizarre orbits that don't demonstrate the presence of planets. Planet Vulcan, as they called it, was another contentious subject that emerged. Considering some of the reactions evened out against the original work, this new review returns to it. The fact that bodies in the external solar system are difficult to detect leads us to search in badly designed places. This is a significant point of analysis. Our perception of a grouping effect may simply be the consequence of observational bias. Regardless of accounting for observational bias, the creators infer that the grouping remains genuinely significant. There's a very little likelihood that it's simply a coincidence. They work on their focusing by recalculating the likely orbit of Planet 9. The review's captivating new circle brings. Planet 9 is nearer to the Sun than prior estimates. Some have even ventured to say that Planet 9 is genuine, however, that is in light of the fact that it is an early-stage black hole. We may never be able to see it. Could it not be a planet at all? Might it be an early-stage black hole? Despite the fact that our cosmology techniques are getting better constantly, there are still a great many small worlds in the outer planetary system that have remained unseen. The 10th planet in our planetary system is believed to be much larger than Earth, with a mass of 5 to 10 Earth masses. It circles the Sun at a typical distance of 400 to 800 astronomical units. The average distance that Earth circles the Sun is 1 astronomical unit, which is 10 to 20 times farther than Pluto's orbit. If there is a Planet 9, its one orbit would require 10,000 to 20,000 years. The probability of a large world circling the Sun at such a colossal distance is captivating. Investigations of other star systems reveal that exoplanets between the sizes of Earth and Neptune are somewhat common. Why our planetary system doesn't hold a world within this mass range is a mystery. Yet, if Planet 9 does exist, it would be a significant historical discovery that would reshape our understanding of the arrangement of planets that circle our Sun. It goes without saying that a planet with such an eccentric orbit would be very elusive, but researchers continue to scour infrared surveys in hopes of identifying a faraway object crawling across the sky. Aside from the gravitational pull of an object in the outer solar system, there's little direct proof for the presence of Planet 9. Assuming it is out there, it should be producing infrared radiation, energy that has leaked from the planet since its formation. Now we arrive at the black hole theory. In another study, cosmologists Jacob Schultz of Durham College and James Anwin of the University of Illinois at Chicago presented their competing hypothesis that the gravitational peculiarities in the solar system's outer regions are not produced by planets at all. Rather, they highlighted the presence of an early-stage black hole, a hypothesis that has caused somewhat of a stir. This type of black hole doesn't pose a threat to the rest of the solar system, as it would be too small. However, in the distant regions of our solar system, its effect would be significant. The only evidence we have for Planet 9's presence is the gravitational effects it's having on trans-Neptunian objects, TNOs. After all, black holes are the most gravitationally endowed objects in the universe. Early-stage black holes are the most ancient type of black hole, believed to have formed just after the Big Bang. Black holes of varying masses would have been rapidly created in the early universe due to changes in density, subsequently being dispersed throughout space. These long-ago objects would have continuously evaporated due to Hawking radiation, with smaller ones appearing first. Although there is strong indirect evidence for their existence, no direct observation of an early-stage black hole has been made, despite some models of cosmic evolution proposing their existence. Consider microlensing events, when a massive object temporarily brightens stars as it passes in front of them, due to the curvature of spacetime acting as a magnifying lens. These events imply that there might be a population of small black holes in the universe that can only be detected by their gravitational effects on spacetime. With another perspective on the TNO oddities, Schultz and Anwin predicted the outcome of a very small sun-circling black hole with a mass of 5 to 10 Earth masses. Indeed, according to their models, the population of TNOs would experience similar orbital disturbances if an early-stage black hole had that mass. Since an early-stage black hole wouldn't produce either an optical or infrared signal, this may also explain the paucity of proof for Planet 9. In reality, it could be a black hole in space. Such a black hole might consume dark matter and generate different radiations by pulling a cloud of dark matter with it. Considering these outcomes, the scientists propose an expanded exploratory program to search for mobile sources of high-energy cosmic rays, such as X-rays, gamma rays, and other forms of radiation. The substitution of a fabricated planet for a fabricated black hole runs the risk of adding unnecessary complexity to the puzzle of Planet 9. However, this is an intriguing line of inquiry. Could a black hole explain the gravitational effects we are observing in the outer planetary system? All we know is that there is a sizable mass out there, and we don't know what that mass is. Some people find comfort in apocalyptic predictions, although they are often met with skepticism. Many popular end times theories rely on flawed science and completely unverified evidence. Consider the Nibiru cataclysm, one of the most notorious instances of an apocalypse scenario. According to the majority of believers, Nibiru is a mysterious planet that circles the Sun, returning to its original orbit every 3,600 Earth years. Nibiru, otherwise known as Planet X or Planet 9, is a giant planet on a collision course with us, possibly heading toward a catastrophic impact or triggering a chain reaction of disasters that would wipe out human civilization. Nibiru entered the public consciousness in 1976 with the publication of The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin. It's worth noting that Sitchin himself didn't believe Nibiru represented any immediate danger to humanity. On the contrary, he thought it was connected to the origins of our species. There's a lot to unpack here. The late Sitchin was a journalist and a student of Sumerian cuneiform texts from ancient Mesopotamia and Persia. Somewhere along the line, he became convinced that Homo sapiens are not the result of natural selection, at least, not completely. According to his questionable translations of ancient Mesopotamian texts, the first humans were bioengineered by extraterrestrials called the Anunnaki, who once colonized southeastern Africa. These extraterrestrials, according to Sitchin, came from the yet unseen planet Nibiru, which he claimed would circle Earth every 3,600 years before disappearing into space. Due to Nibiru, it was inevitable that it would become a source of fear. Starting in the 1990s, various doomsday and conspiracy theories incorporated the fictional Nibiru. One clairvoyant even ventured to predict that Nibiru would pass Earth in 2003, unleashing havoc along the way. Of course, this did not come to pass, but Nibiru continued to make headlines. Christian fundamentalists in 2017 guaranteed that Nibiru, or a tantamount object, was quickly drawing nearer and would soon declare the apocalypse. This was a conviction held by many who supported the misleading 2012 end-of-the-world prediction. Nibiru is said to have an orbital period of 3,600 Earth years. From the beginning, this appears sensible enough, considering that one orbit of the minor planet Sedna, which does, in fact, exist, takes an incredible 11,000 or 12,400 Earth years to complete. Anyway, Sedna gives the Sun a wide berth. Cosmologists and planetary researchers use astronomical units to measure some of the immense distances known to man. One astronomical unit is equivalent to around 93 million miles, which is the average distance between Earth and the Sun. By the time it reaches its apogee, Sedna will be 76 astronomical units from the Sun, placing it in the outer solar system, far beyond Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the much-censured 10th planet. On the other hand, Nibiru is supposed to make regular introductions to the inner solar system, where Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are found. In light of these parameters, it was discovered that the farthest point of Nibiru's orbit would be roughly 469 astronomical units from the Sun. Hence, in 3,600 years, Nibiru would need to travel the entire distance from Earth to this incredibly faraway spot and back again to stay on time. The planet would require a ludicrously thin, almost stick-shaped orbit instead of a round one. On top of that, Nibiru would be traveling at a confounding 26.1 meters per second as it passed Earth. This is clearly not uplifting news, because a planet cruising along a highly elliptical orbit at such a high speed risks being catapulted from the solar system altogether. What would happen if Nibiru remained in its current strange orbit around the Sun? We would have found clear signs of that by now. According to NASA's Planetary Science Division, it was in 1992 that space experts, who had persistently scanned the sky looking for faint objects past Neptune, found the far-off Kuiper belt. This is believed to contain a huge number of other objects, as well as smaller objects like up to 1 trillion distant comets, and 3 dwarf planets, Haumea, Makemake, and Eris. What other speculative planets could be hiding in our own solar system that we have little insight into? Some time before Neptune was discovered in 1846, astronomers suspected that a large planet might be in the vicinity. This was due to the fact that astronomers had noticed that Uranus, which had been seen for the first time in 1781, continued to wander from its expected orbit. Mathematicians had guessed that this may have been due to an influence from a nearby planet, and sure enough, their expectations were right. The obscure planet was later determined to be the gas giant Neptune. Correspondingly, if Nibiru were to exist, its influence on other planets in our solar system would be immediately evident. If, as many proponents state, Nibiru were a large planet, the gravitational pull of such a world would be significantly more pronounced. The current-day orbits of all the planets from Venus to Neptune are generally on the same plane concerning the Sun, within a few degrees of variation. However, planetary researcher David Morrison has shown that if a body like Nibiru were racing past Earth every few years, its gravity would have pushed at least some of these planets far from the plane, resulting in radically tilted orbital paths. Ultimately, there is the question of direct observation, or rather the lack thereof. Nibiru would have been recognized by astronomers years before it came to Earth. A couple of months before the errant planet showed up, it would have appeared brighter than certain stars currently visible to the naked eye. However, nobody has ever seen the predicted planet, not even amateur astronomers, and there is no scientific evidence to suggest that anyone will ever see it. Researchers have, however, yet to determine Planet 99's exact location, so it might take some time for someone to notice it with a telescope.